Well, the founders of Proven were both born in China, Ming from Shenyang and Amy from Beijing. And as we mentioned, the idea for their startup grew out of the search for answers to their own skin problems. So Mark News sat down with the founders and began by asking how they see their company transforming the skincare market.
Women and men both have very low satisfaction when it comes to beauty products. So the net promoter score for beauty as a category is only 20 points out of 100 points, which is basically a failing score. Similarly, 55% of consumers, after they purchase a beauty product, 55% of the time they are dissatisfied with that product post-purchase.
How are you using artificial intelligence to solve this problem?
We gathered more than 8 million consumer testimonials on over 100,000 products. Basically, for any beauty product, if you can search and buy online, we probably have that information in our database. And the second part is we use classic natural language processing and machine learning to extract the user information, where they live, what kind of skin type they have, what kind of skin concern they have, and also the information on the product and an ingredient. And we get all the information out, and which help us move forward to the third problem, which is to find what are the active ingredients that are useful and helpful for what type of people.
But can it draw a conclusion, or do you have to go back into the review and see what the conclusion is?
We do both. We draw a conclusion with human power, human mind power, and then try to use machine learning to simulate a similar mindset and try to train the computer to draw the same conclusions. And then we also just let the computer improvise themselves and see if they're like new conclusions that we have not thought about.
What's something you've discovered?
So we know, for example, more Caucasian clients will have more sort of sun damage, whereas more Asian customers would have or are more prone to hyperpigmentation. We also have some interesting conclusions for the industry itself in that there's no positive correlation between quality of product and price of product. That means just because something's expensive, it doesn't mean that it's better. And we can prove that with data.
You broke the record for the biggest computer simulation in your computational physics PhD, I believe. How does that compare to entering the world of beauty and trying to understand all these reviews?
I would say the problem that we have at Proven is much harder and more difficult to solve. For research, we only have half of the problem that we're trying to solve here, which is extract useful insight and then publish to the world. But in here, we need to extract useful insight and try to educate our consumers and also try to deliver a solution to them at their doorstep.
So beauty is harder than computational physics.
Absolutely.
You started this company about 2 years ago, and really just a short time after that, both of you got pregnant. Tell me about the challenges of pregnancy and spending all those hours starting a startup.
It's like having twins. I feel like I have one small child, and then I have another one, which is Proven. I love both of them, and then they play together. They work together. Instead of having work-life balance, we have integrated work and life into one entity.
And with that, we actually encountered some sort of employee issues where as soon as we informed one of our engineering employees that, first of all, just Amy was pregnant, he actually pretty much quit pretty unceremoniously, for no other reason. So there certainly have been some challenges, but there are also a lot of rewards in that entrepreneurship is a very sort of sometimes lonely, sometimes bleak, lots of long hours and long nights. And having our babies, at least for me, is just such a constant source of joy that is actually the one bright spot that I can always count on.
Silicon Valley is a notorious place for being dominated by male engineers, and it's been in the news with some a sexist culture. Did you face any prejudice?
I have to say, I have to thank the current environment that a lot of pioneering women who came before us paved the way for us. There's still a lot of challenges in that there are certain investors, once they found out that now we have newborns, that they're much more sort of standoffish to what we're doing. But there are also a lot of other people including our advisor, one of whom is the ex-CEO of Lancome, who, after she saw that we were fundraising while we were pregnant, she became even more excited about what we're doing because she sees our drive.
Also getting into the famous Y Combinator program. You were actually given some blunt advice, right?
We got into Y Combinator in the last batch. So it was 2017 summer, and we're both pregnant at the time. We had a conversation with one of the Y Combinator partners who advised us to defer our batch.
One of our advisors was like, you're going to be standing in front of 200 of the top investors. You don't know what they're necessarily thinking. You want to draw attention to yourselves, but being both heavily pregnant on stage might not be the best type of attention. This is still, like you said, a male-dominated world. So in your best interest, it's probably better to be on that stage when you're no longer clearly pregnant. And we really appreciate that advice because as we've now gone into sort of the fundraising world, and indeed there's more reasons for any investor to say no to a company than yes.